Well, our lead story tonight, even as conciliatory statements are being made, the fighting and bombing has intensified. Explosions in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, were heard all across the capital this afternoon around 1 o'clock local time. Let's just listen to those explosions. And the humanitarian crisis is growing as there's intense fighting currently on at Irpin, which is 20 kilometers from the center of the Ukrainian capital. Civilians are fleeing here as Russians are attacking this capital from 3 sides currently. Meanwhile, Ukraine has released multiple videos which they say are of Russian tanks being bombed. Hundreds of Russian tanks, trucks and aircraft, Ukraine says, has been destroyed by Ukrainian forces. These are some of the videos they've released to bolster the claim that Ukraine is holding Russia with its advanced military back. A brave fight which is now 2 weeks and counting today, 2 weeks of the invasion.
Ну, вот видишь, разные модели танков. Вон, видишь, из России там замалевано что-то.
Да якась би отверточка чи крючочек. Ножик. Можно и нож. Да.
Russia has also released a military video of tanks and attack choppers, which is countering the Ukrainian narrative of Russian tanks and the Air Force suffering losses. Russia claims that humanitarian aid is being sent by them to Kharkiv, again another site of intense fighting between Russian and Ukrainian troops. But even as the fighting intensifies, the only ray of hope currently is the fact that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has just said in a briefing that they don't want to overthrow the Ukrainian government. This just a day after the Ukrainian president said that they are no longer interested in joining NATO.
Its objectives are neither to occupy Ukraine nor to destroy its statehood, nor to depose the existing powers. It is not against the civilians.
Regarding NATO, I have cooled down regarding this question a long time ago. After we understood that that NATO is not prepared to accept Ukraine, the alliance is afraid of controversial things and confrontation with Russia. So the conditions regarding NATO is not conditions for Ukraine. It's a precondition for NATO. I think this is the right this is the right of NATO. This is their decision. I never wanted to be a country which is begging something on its knees, and we are not going to be that country, and I don't want to be that president.
Well, let's go across live now to Natalia Lutsenko. She's the head of the international desk of the Ukrainian TV ICTV in Kyiv. Natalia, it almost seems odd to hear Russia saying that it doesn't want to overthrow the government at a time when fighting has intensified and shelling has intensified in Kyiv, where you are. What is the latest situation? How are Russia's statements being seen? And do you agree with the view that President Zelensky's statement on not joining NATO is also an overture of peace towards Russia?
Good afternoon, or even good evening to you. Actually, about Russian statements, we are not really following them right now. We are more focused on Ukrainians, President Zelensky, as you said. And as for the NATO right now, I think for now, after all that they have not been done to us, they didn't close the sky as we were begging to them. I think for now, our joining to the alliance are not relevant any longer, at least for this period of time. As for the situation right now in Kyiv, as I told you, the previous night was relatively calm, but this day is not. The invader trying to get to Kyiv through the west, it's Irpin and Bucha, so we hear bombing right there. And we hear bombing through the east, is where Brobary city is located.
Tell me, Natalia, what is it like right now around you? We know that Kyiv is really the heart of the war zone. The Russian advances towards this is being really stopped by brave Ukrainian fighters, people, civilians who've joined the territorial army. Tell us what it's like right now for you reporting from Kyiv.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit complicated still. It's still hard to adapt to the bombing while I'm going live. But still, Kyiv, when you see on the map, is a really huge city. It's really, really hard to be sieged and captured by the invaders. So it just helps us to realize it's really hard to be surrounded like it is with Mariupol, because we have really hard situation right there. So, I mean, especially with the humanitarian convoys and supplies.
What is the latest on the Russian advances and the Ukrainian fight back on Kyiv? We've seen that intensive fighting in Irpin and also the humanitarian crisis as civilians are rushing to get out.
Well, the Russians say is right now what I know, that they don't want to capture any power here. They didn't want war. And actually, 30 minutes ago, we had a press conference with the guys, the Russians, that we are captured. There are servicemen that are captured during as a result of the Russian invasion to Ukraine. And what they said, they didn't want the war. They claimed they just didn't know where they're going here. And they promised us to rebuild the city they have destroyed. And they said if they will return home, they will ask Putin to stop this war and they will go against Kremlin regime.
Right. Thanks so much, Natalia, for that update. Well, some good news for India coming out of Ukraine is that finally an estimated 700 Indians from Sumy, which has been under intense attack, are now returning to safety. They're on board currently a special train organized with the assistance of the Indian government and, of course, Russian Ukrainian authorities, with the Indian government being in touch with them. This after a ceasefire in key cities. So there it is. Mission accomplished. Indian students safe on that train heading to a border train station, and then hopefully will be back home by tomorrow. So a huge rescue operation there, and all Indian students heading home safely. Meanwhile, American Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Europe this evening for a trip that has become more complicated after one of her hosts, Poland, have caught the United States by surprise with the proposal to provide its Soviet-era fighter jets to Ukraine, and they've asked the United States for an exchange in return. The United States has said there's no question of this at the moment. So Kamala Harris arriving in Europe in the middle of that diplomatic turbulence. Meanwhile, let's just look at what's happening in the markets. Global markets have recovered. Investors hopeful of perhaps of a possible thaw after the statements. European markets jumping over 4%. The Nifty and Sensex gaining over 2%. The Sensex gained 1,223 points. The Nifty gained 331 points. Experts say they're hoping that there could be a possible breakthrough in the Russia-Ukraine war to settle post the Ukrainian president's comments. Oil prices have also eased marginally to $124 per barrel. Well, let's just go across now to the other big story, and that really is the results. We'll know who the chief ministers of at least 5 states will be tomorrow. I'm saying we know the chief ministers, but who knows, because there could be a hung assembly and much negotiations in many of these states, but at least we'll have an indication of which way the results are going, depending, and of course, exit polls predicting clear majorities in 2 states, but as you know, exit polls have got it wrong in the past. So let's first go across to the biggest state of them all, Uttar Pradesh, and Srinivasan and Alok are joining me now. Vasu, what's the overall picture right now?
Well, Sonia, in fact, we now have another exit poll, or rather a post poll from another reputed polling agency, CSDS, which is predicting a landslide for the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, similar to the Axis poll. Remember, the overall poll of polls, which is up on your screen, was predicting an average of about 250 seats for the BJP, which is comfortably over the halfway mark, but still about 50-60 seats less than what they got last time, which was 300 plus. Axis was the outlier, which says the BJP could cross 300. Now you have CSDS giving the BJP a vote share of 43%. They've not done a seat projection, but if you extrapolate from that, that means that the BJP could well end up once again post 300. So that's a huge win for the BJP, Sonia. And let me tell you, this will now have implications beyond just Uttar Pradesh. This will have implications even in other states where, when the BJP looks to form governments in states like Goa, where it may fall short, coming on the back of a 300+ win in Uttar Pradesh will certainly give it an upper hand against its rivals.
Right, Vasudha, of course, you have to give exit polls some health warnings here on what actually happens. Let's wait for the results, of course. But you're right. I mean, at least in one case, you're seeing the national impact that the Prime Minister is already heading off to Gujarat for that election, which is scheduled later this year. And that, of course, is key for the BJP, since both the Prime Minister and Home Minister are from there. But Alok, the Samajwadi Party not taking any chances. Akhilesh Yadav making that point that who's paying for these exit polls? Is there a conspiracy to already make it look like the BJP is ahead so that nobody's going to ask questions when those EVMs are opened? What's your take on that? Though, of course, the EC has suspended an ADM in Varanasi over that EVM chori claim of Akhilesh Yadav's, asking why EVMs for training were being transported. Go ahead, Alok. I think Alok can't hear me just now, but Rishika, let's go across to you in Goa, because again in Goa, if you're watching the exit polls, at least the negotiators, the strongmen from different states are flying in for both parties, the BJP and the Congress.
Well, absolutely, Sonia. What happens in Goa is anybody's guess, and it's an extremely close contest. It's a very difficult election to predict, given the fact that there are just 40 seats, and the margin of victory often is less than 200 votes, as we've seen, in the past elections. We're reporting right now from a hotel here in Panjim, where a key BJP meet has just concluded. The Goa BJP in charge, Devendra Fadnavis, was here. The Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Ministers and key leaders, union ministers of the BJP all attended this meeting. They've come out and said that they're very confident of forming the government tomorrow. Interestingly, when reporters here have questioned them repeatedly on what about alliances, they've said, Devendra Fadnavis, before he walked into the meeting, said that, if we fall short and if we need alliances, then we will consider an alliance with the MGP, which is a natural ally. It's a like-minded party. And we've spoken to Sudhin Davdekar today, who said he's open to conversations with the Congress and the BJP. So, it's extremely interesting what's happening here in Goa. As we've been reporting, the Congress has its MLA candidates huddled in a resort. The Aam Aadmi Party has put its MLA candidates, in safe houses, made groups of them and put them in safe houses across the state. So it's an extremely interesting eve of counting, if I may say so.
I personally have discussed a lot of things with them, a lot of things with Congress, a lot of things with the BJP. We have discussed a lot of things, a lot of points, and we will take these all points tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We will come to you, media, Patrakar, everybody.
Well, let's go across now to Punjab, where Ghazali, of course, Sonakshi has spoken to Bhagwant Mann, who's already talking about what happens if he becomes CM, but the Congress is saying don't believe these exit polls. Navjot Singh Sidhu already asking for meetings.
Yeah, and a meeting was held today earlier this evening with Ajay Makan has come from Delhi, Pawan Kheda was here, Harish Chaudhary was here. They held a meeting with Navjot Singh Sidhu, and another round of meeting is expected as CM Charanjit Singh Channi will come over here for a meeting with Ajay Makan. And they have all called for a CLP meeting tomorrow, and the senior party leaders also confirmed that they will stake claim for the government tomorrow itself by meeting the governor after the CLP meeting. And when we asked them that if Congress doesn't touch the majority figure mark, who will be the CLP leader? So they didn't respond to that, but they are very confident that the exit poll results are not going to be true and Congress will touch the majority figure mark. The Badals, if we say, they are back in their own constituency in Muxar district. No comment has come so far. Only Sukhbir Badal today said that exit polls or the opinion polls should be banned. Bhagwant Mann is in his own constituency. Senior leaders from Delhi like Raghav Chadha is camping here in Chandigarh in Mohali office. So tomorrow we'll get to see that who gets the majority figure mark, or as many exit polls have also sort of confirmed or predicted that maybe Punjab will have a hung assembly, and on 11th of March Captain Amrinder Singh is having his birthday. His party leaders or his party workers are also saying that maybe Punjab will give him the birthday gift on 11th of March.
मैं फिर कहता हूँ कि मेरे लिए सीएम का मतलब कॉमन मैन है लोगों में रहेंगे, हम लोगों में जाके प्रचार किया, उन्हीं लोगों में जाके काम करेंगे। तो आई डोंट थिंक कि मुझे कोई सीएम बनने से या मुझे कोई पद मिलने से मुझे कोई मेरे दिमाग में कोई सत्ता चढ़ जाएगी या व्हाटएवर। ऑलरेडी मैं बहुत फेमस और शोहरत की बुलंदियाँ मैंने देखी हुई हैं। सो nothing is new for me.
Well, let's go from Goa to Uttarakhand. Akshay, what's the latest happening there? Again, there at least you got outsider netas coming in to take over, it seems, almost tomorrow.
Well, exactly, Sonia. As far as the competition in the state of Uttarakhand is concerned, it is certainly, the neck-to-neck fight is certainly going to give both the BJP and Congress leaders a sleepless night today, because all the exit polls, the surveys, they have been showing a close fight between both of these parties. Now, the top leadership, in fact, major leaders of these two parties are here camping in Dehradun. As far as a special observer of the Congress party for Uttarakhand, Dipendra Hooda is here. He has been here holding meeting with different factions of the Congress party. For the BJP, Kailash Vijayvargiya, who is also labelled a man who was behind the coup in 2016 in the Congress party. He is also present here in the state of Uttarakhand. Another major development that is going to take place right now is the arrival of Bhupesh Baghel, the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, who is going to come here. Also, party sources are telling us that in case there is a hung assembly, in case the BJP is not able to cross the halfway mark, and if there are attempts to poach the Congress MLAs, then the party can also opt in moving the MLAs from the state to the state of Chhattisgarh to protect them from any sort of poaching. The second major concern that remains for the Congress party is to ensure that they have support of the independents and the BSP as well as the Aam Aadmi Party in case they cannot reach the halfway mark, because in 2012 elections it was the BSP and the independents that had supported the Congress party so that they could in fact form the government. We spoke with Harish Rawat, the Chief Minister of the former Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, on whether he will be CM and on what exactly are the movement going on as far as the poaching attempts are concerned, and this is what he said. Some kind of attempt of poaching MLAs or horse trading happening? Are you?
Nothing. We are not apprehensive of that. Our MLAs are quite sincere and they know their tasks and they are aware of the dirty tactics of BJP, and they all are well aware that a person who was known for using these kind of dirty tricks earlier, who has utilized this trick in 2016, engineering defection in our party, is here, and he's working in plant 2, plant 3. BJP has all sorts of these kind of things they are spreading.
Well, let's go across back to Alok, because Alok, I can see you're surrounded by Samajwadi Party workers keeping a vigil on you also.
Most certainly, I'm surrounded by a sea of Samajwad, if I can say that. But very quickly, this is the Lucknow counting centre. Sir, thoda sa hat jaiye. I just want to walk to this side and show you how the Samajwadi Party workers are guarding the strong rooms here. So these are all Samajwadi Party workers, and that is the CCTV that shows you all the strong rooms. All of those strong rooms have double padlocks that will be open tomorrow morning. But all of these people are maintaining 24-hour vigils here. At this counting center. This is the only counting center for Lucknow. I'll quickly just go back to where I was and also give you a sense to this side. If you can just see this side, you have a lot of these political workers. You have all of these workers who are here and who are maintaining this vigil. Ma'am, आपका नाम क्या है?
रास्ताचू प्रीति तिवारी समाजवादी पार्टी से।
क्या आप लोग कल से, जब से अखिलेश जी ने कहा है आने के लिए, तब से यहाँ आए हैं? उसके बाद
नहीं, हम लोग पहले से 3 तारीख को यहाँ हुआ था कि बैरर पकड़ा गया था और यहाँ पे घोटाला था, उसके रिंच और हथौड़ा उसकी गाड़ी में पाया गया था, इतने बड़े औजार पाए गए थे। तो हमारे मंत्री रविदास मेहत्रा ने इसके लिए आवाज़ उठाई और फिर इसको ट्रांसफ़र भी करवाया गया।
तब से आप लोग यहाँ?
तब से हम लोग यहाँ तक किए। और कल देखिए बनारस में पूरी गाड़ी पकड़ी गई, नगर निगम की गाड़ी में पूरा EVM डब्बे भरे हुए थे।
हाँ, वही उसी पे आपसे ही बात करना चाहूँगा। आपका क्या नाम है?
जी, महानगर उपाध्याय से रिजवान खान।
जी रिजवान जी, जल्दी से बस ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि एक्शन हुआ है बनारस में, उससे सेटिस्फाइड है कि नहीं? हाँ या ना?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं है।
अच्छा, ठीक। बस एक सेकंड। सो ऑल ऑफ दीज पीपल से दैट दीज पीपल आर नॉट satisfied with the action taken in Varanasi. So this is what it is, Sonia, here outside this counting center in Lucknow.
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow. there, Alok. BJP ministers are saying that this is an excuse being used by Akhilesh Yadav. Akhilesh Yadav is saying that this is a fight for democracy. Let's see what the results show tomorrow. But over to Ratnadeep now, who's in Manipur, and he's speaking to, again, a very confident chief ministerial candidate there. Ratnadeep.
That's right. In fact, Sonia, tomorrow Manipur is all set for the results. In fact, one has to watch out whether the results come according to the exit polls, where the exit polls have indicated that the BJP might emerge as the single largest party. However, the Congress is saying that the exit polls are way off mark, and therefore several central leaders of Congress are camping in Imphal, led by Mukul Wasnik. In fact, all the 53 candidates are being kept together in a hotel. So Congress really, they are keeping a strong vigil. That's what Congress is saying. However, we did speak to the Manipur incumbent Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, and he was very confident. He, while speaking exclusively to NDTV, he said that he's very confident. The party is confident that they are going to form the government with at least 2/3 majority. Significantly, he said that even if they have 2/3 majority, they would like some of their alliance partners, the coalition partners, to be with them. However, he said that this does not mean that they will again like to have the NPP. Let's listen into what Mr. Biren Singh told NDTV exclusively. Tomorrow is a big day for you. The exit polls must have given you a lot of hope. What are your predictions?
Exit polls, as per the different media, like NDTV says, as yourself has given 30.
We don't do exit poll, we have done poll of polls.
Poll of polls, yeah, poll of polls. But even in the exit poll, I personally campaigned along with the central leaders, Honorable Prime Minister and Amit Shahji and JP Nandadi and others. And I personally feel that this time we are definitely crossing two-third majority. And if something up and down, we will definitely form the BJP own government. I firmly believe.
Well, everyone putting up a brave face today, but reporters, we're going to see you all till late night and early in the morning tomorrow. So there's no other place to be on result day except NDTV.